Prince Harry says events like the Invictus Games are saving the lives of those who serve their country. He was speaking after a report into the effect of the Invictus Games was launched. David McCann has more.
Prince Harry took time out from watching the sporting action to address the conference at the Beanfield Centre. Guests gathered to discuss the findings of a report into the Invictus Games and the positive effect it is having on those who take part.
I'm sure it will come as no surprise to anybody in this room that I am hugely passionate about the Invictus Games. I am passionate about the role which sport can play in the recovery of body and mind. I am passionate about the men and women of our armed forces who have served their countries. And I am passionate in my support and admiration for the families of those men and women because they too have served. We believe that the Games would make a real difference. Competitors, friends and their families told us that the Games were not only changing lives, but saving lives. And now what we believe to be true has been backed up by this high-quality academic research.
The Toronto 2017 Games started with the opening ceremony at the weekend. The competitors paraded in front of thousands at the Air Canada Centre. And it's that feeling of being valued that helps the competitors with their rehabilitation.
They might not feel comfortable in society. They might not feel like the public's always being warm or welcoming, or they might not feel comfortable with their prosthetics or with their injuries. And so to see that people are coming up to them, they care about their stories. You know, so many are saying, you know, they actually paid to come and see me, is really important in demonstrating our appreciation for their service.
He's looking strong.
While much of the focus of the Games has been on the athletes, the study is also looking into how the Invictus Games can help families in the recovery process.
How do we better integrate the family programming? How do we make sure that the families have the kind of experience that the competitors are having? I also think, post-games is probably one of the biggest issues because, the organizing committee for the Games also winds down shortly afterwards. What programs do we have in place to make sure that people avoid that slump, that they don't revert back to where they were when they began the Invictus journey?
The report says once again being part of a team and reconnecting with the military family can also have a big impact on a competitor's rehabilitation.
When you're just being active without a race or a goal plan, it's not the same. So when you know that you're going to an Invictus game, now you have an objective, just like a military mission that you do exercises for. You're just getting ready, you're looking forward to it, and those athletes are ready to rock and roll.
The information from the report is being used to create opportunities for competitors after the Games and help their recovery going forward. David McCann, Forces News, Toronto.
Just behind me, the whole area has been transformed to the venue for wheelchair tennis. As well as the final of that event, there's also been more medals at the athletics and powerlifting. This competition has wowed the crowds in Nathan Phillips Square for the last few days. But the crowd had something else to shout about when Prince Harry made his first public appearance hand in hand with Meghan Markle. All eyes, though, soon returned to the court as both the gold and bronze medals came the way of the Brits. Pre-tournament favourites Alex Kroll and Kevin Drake took the top spot, beating New Zealand 6-4. That's 2 golds in 2 for Kroll, who also won the first competition in Orlando last year.
Well, I'm retired, it doesn't matter. No, I'll stick with him. We've been playing tournaments before this game, so we're going to keep playing and hopefully start us something special.
We're only going to get better, so every other nation needs to get better.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny to say that because New Zealand were favourites last time, and yet you guys beat them then, and you've done it again.
Yeah, and we'll do it again next year.
Yeah.
The second pairing of Spike Hughes and Cornelia Oosthuizen, having lost to their UK compatriots in the semi-final, defeated Australia for bronze.
Not just the 90 or so athletes, every single nation is so friendly. Everybody wants to get to know you, wants to say hello, interested in what sports you're doing, so yeah, it's great.
There were more medals on the athletics, track and field, and the ladies shone in powerlifting. Cerys Knight winning bronze in the lightweight division.
It's amazing. It's an individual sport, and yet even though you're out there on that bench on your own, you know your whole team is there with you. We've got a fantastic team ethos. We've got an amazing coach in Ben, and just the idea of lifting your own body weight, which is what I did, is kind of, it really puts it into perspective what you really can do.
Tuesday sees golf make its debut, with the big lads hammering it out in powerlifting. There's also the cycling time trials and indoor rowing. Kath Brazier, Forces News, Toronto. In addition to wheelchair tennis, Team UK's Kirk Hughes is competing in 2 other sports in Toronto this year. I spoke to him earlier about his experience so far. For Spike Hughes, carrying the flag into the opening ceremony of Invictus Games as part of the Parade of Nations was his high point. That was until he won bronze in the wheelchair tennis, something he never expected.
Kirk Hughes and Cornelia Oosthuizen.
There's a lot of lows involved with it, but obviously to have something like this to bring you up so high, it's just great, incredible.
You've just won bronze. Yeah, bronze for the UK. Was that quite an emotional experience as well?
Yeah, so emotional, so emotional. I came into this just wanting to get as far as I could in the competition. Tennis is so new to me. I only took it up to get involved in Invictus for it, so I've never picked up a racket before that, so yeah, to get bronze, just a dream come true really.
Oh, it's amazing. He's only been playing tennis for such a short amount of time. I literally thought he'd come here and just enjoy the experience, but a medal just makes it even better. Very emotional. I've been a bit of a wreck this last match. So yeah, it was good to have some friends by my side giving me some support.
And of course, that support goes more than one way. Between sports, countries, families, friends and teammates.
She's been so supportive. She's an experienced tennis player. She knows the right thing to say. We were 2-0 down in that game just then. She said, just relax, have a bit of confidence in your game. You know you can win this. And it turned the game around, and we did.
Spike and Cornelia had to face the UK #1 seeds in the semi-final. But even getting that far was further than they imagined, and certainly more than they dared to hope for years ago.
For myself, I plan to do the full term in the military, so to be cut short so early was a massive shock, and it just left me with nothing really, a bit empty. So
incredibly proud. I don't even think I can explain how proud I am of what he's overcome and where he is now, and everything that hopefully will come in the future.
Is he changed?
Yeah, massively.
And how has he changed?
He's changed by his sports technique mostly.
And do you think he's a happier person?
Yeah.
And Spike's sporting journey is far from over, even for this week.
I've got hand cycling tomorrow, Wednesday, and then I've got basketball Thursday, Friday, Saturday, so quite a busy week.
Definitely more sports to come, and hopefully some more medals and some more nerves and tears and
hopefully a gold.
Yeah, I mean a bronze isn't good enough, is it?
No!
So plenty more to come from this one, and by default his family firmly behind the UK team.
We love Team UK!
Kath Brazier, Forces News, Toronto. Defence Minister Tobias Ellwood has been enjoying some of the sporting action around Toronto. He says he's honoured to be here at the Invictus Games 2017. I spoke to the former Army captain earlier, and he praised the Invictus Games for raising the awareness for wounded, injured and sick service personnel and veterans.
There's an incredible buzz to the place. You arrive at the airport and you can tell that this city has been working for this for some time. And it's a real honour to be amongst not just the British athletes, but all the nations that have participated in here. And for me, my view of this is that you're looking after people that have endured injuries and the horrors of combat. Some of them are visible, some of those scars are invisible. And you ask yourself, how do these people motivate themselves? How do they get up every day and be able to take life on? And sport is about empowering those individuals, about motivation, and that's exactly what Prince Harry is trying to achieve here. So these people have been tested, they've been challenged, but they've not been beaten, and that's so evident. We have a far better understanding of what it is to have been affected by combat stress, by injuries and so forth. 10, 15 years ago, we would look at somebody who had had these injuries, and we would almost be embarrassed to even mention it. Whereas now kids are going up and saying, my goodness, how did you get that, why are you wearing a prosthetic leg or whatever? Tell me about your story. I'm intrigued, I'm revered, I respect what's actually going on. So this has been a massive education to the nation, and that continues with that process. So these Invictus Games, shown all around the world, again, underlines the bond between our military and indeed those in civilian life.
We'll be back tomorrow with more from Toronto, and don't forget to check our YouTube channel for a special Invictus Games programme. Bye for now.